Whether you're stuck in traffic, hitting the gym, or just winding down, we are here to spill the hottest tea from your favorite Bravo shows. From the wildest reunions to the quietest social media unfollows, we cover it all. So welcome back to Reality TV Podcast and Clips. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Let's get into it on 3, 2, 1. We have to start by looking at what happened in Italy with Dorit, because the ongoing tension with her just habitual lateness has completely reached a tipping point.
Oh, absolutely. It's really bubbling over.
Yeah, she recently left the entire cast waiting for hours, and she blamed the whole delay on her luggage rolling in late, but Kyle Richards and Amanda Frances just blasted her for completely disregarding everyone else's time.
Right. And I mean, the psychology of chronic lateness in this kind of highly produced environment is, well, it's a really fascinating behavioral mechanism. Lateness often functions as like a subtle method of control.
Oh, for sure.
By forcing a whole production crew and the cast to wait, the late person subconsciously dictates the schedule. You know, they centralize their own importance. Yeah. And Amanda Frances pointed out that this isn't just standard 20 minutes late traffic behavior.
No, not at all.
We're talking about leaving people waiting for hours every single time they gather.
Yeah.
And Kyle noted that fabricating a different excuse every time, like blaming the luggage rather than just owning it, it shifts the burden away from Dorit.
Yeah, it makes it feel profoundly disrespectful to the group. And Amanda Frances herself is actually navigating a totally different type of timing controversy right now.
Oh, the book launch.
Exactly. She dropped her new book squarely in the middle of the season. It's a memoir detailing her experience leaving a cult, and Kyle called the timing of the launch opportunistic.
Which is quite the accusation to throw at a castmate.
Right. But Amanda fired back, claiming the group actually prompted her to finish it. She says she had shelved the manuscript to focus on her kids, and it was only because the cast kept asking about her past that she felt pushed to finally get it out there.
Well, both the luggage excuse and the book launch timeline really highlight the core dynamic we are analyzing today, which is the facade.
Yes, the constant image control.
Exactly. Reality stars are constantly attempting to control their timeline. They want to dictate when a book drops for maximum retail impact, or how a 3-hour delay is perceived by you, the audience.
But what we are seeing across the board is how quickly that carefully curated image just shatters when it collides with hard data. Because while Dorit is on camera in Italy blaming delayed suitcases, the off-screen reality is a massive documented financial crisis back in California.
And we really need to unpack the mechanics of that financial crisis because the numbers are staggering.
They really are. We are looking at reports that Dorit's $6.5 million Encino home is facing pre-foreclosure.
And for those who might not know, pre-foreclosure in California means a formal notice of default has actually been filed.
Right. The specific numbers are grim. She reportedly owes $842,000 in debt.
Wow. To 2 different lenders, right?
Yes, to 2 different lenders. And she has not made a single mortgage payment since late last year. I mean, that is not just forgetting a water bill. That is a systemic collapse of cash flow.
The broader context of reality television economics is so vital here. Cast members often leverage their homes, taking out massive secondary loans to fund the exorbitant lifestyle required to just, stay relevant on the show.
Yeah, you have to look rich to stay on TV.
Exactly. Teddy Mellencamp and Dolores Catania recently weighed in on this exact phenomenon. Dolores made a very pointed comparison to Teresa Giudice's past legal and financial downfall.
Oh, that's a chilling comparison.
It is. She issued a stark warning that being ignorant of your marital finances is incredibly dangerous. Dolores basically asked, what has Dorit been doing with the capital she generates from the show and her side businesses all these years?
Right, and Dolores explicitly stated she would rather do without the luxury cars and designer clothes than put herself in a position where she has zero visibility into how the household bills are paid.
It highlights this terrifying bubble.
It does. The pressure to maintain a certain aesthetic for the cameras just completely eclipses basic financial survival.
And moving from the financial facades in Beverly Hills, we see the exact same psychological desperation mirroring itself in the social media facades of Orange County.
Oh, definitely.
The currency might be different, mortgages versus Instagram followers, but the lengths people will go to maintain an illusion of status are identical.
Which brings us to the escalating feud between Kelly Dodd and Dr. Divya Srinivasa. Kelly went on the offensive, accusing Dr. Divya of using, quote, Pakistani or Indian bots to attack her online.
Right, and normally a cast member would just scream back on Twitter.
Exactly. But Dr. Divya delivered what I can only describe as a surgical, data-driven takedown.
She bypassed the emotional bait entirely.
Completely.
She ran the analytics and actually published the back-end data. She proved that her own fake follower count sits at a mere 2.35%, paired with a massive 21.7% engagement rate.
Which is huge.
It really is. Then she pulled Kelly's algorithmic data, revealing that Kelly has 20% fake followers and a dismal 0.09% engagement rate.
Ouch.
Yeah, to put that in perspective, an engagement rate of 0.09% essentially means the platform's algorithm has classified the account as dead air. It is a financial death knell for anyone relying on influencer marketing.
A 0.09% engagement rate is just brutal. And Dr. Divya leaned into it. She labeled Kelly an underachieving woman trying to take credit for an immigrant woman's success.
And she ended her video by playing Mariah Carey's Obsessed, right?
Yes. She played Obsessed at the end. All Kelly had in her corner was Rick Leventhal offering this incredibly weak defense, claiming Kelly has a, quote, world of friends.
Not a great defense against raw data.
Not at all. But hold on, let me play devil's advocate for a second. Isn't bringing an audited spreadsheet to a Bravo feud sort of, I don't know, missing the point of why we watch these shows?
How do you mean?
Well, we tune in for the messy, emotionally unhinged, he said, she said drama. It's like arguing over who has the most real friends at a party, but one person brings a mathematically audited guest list to prove it. Doesn't bringing a peer-reviewed analytics report just completely ruin the fun?
I see what you're saying, but I think it forces the conflict to evolve. The old emotional warfare playbook is just exhausted.
Yeah, that's fair.
Historically, these conflicts relied purely on subjective storytelling, where whoever yelled the loudest won the narrative. But by treating the feud like a forensic audit, Dr. Divya exposed the literal mechanics behind Kelly's perceived influence.
Right, you can't argue with the math.
Exactly. Data strips away the subjective nature of reality TV drama and replaces it with cold metrics. It leaves the opponent with nowhere to hide, which in its own way is a much more definitive form of entertainment.
It is the ultimate reality check. But what happens when the secrets are not in a spreadsheet, but are happening completely off camera, rewriting the entire dynamic of a show before production even begins?
We are seeing this play out massively with Summer House right now.
Yes. The boundary between what happens during filming and the real lives of the cast members is completely dissolving.
The real plot lines are now forged in the off-season.
Let's look at the logistics of this. There are emerging rumors that West Wilson and Amanda Batula hooked up following her separation from Kyle Cook.
And Kyle's reaction to this was really telling.
Bizarrely pragmatic, honestly. He called the idea reckless, which makes sense, but then surprisingly stated he would vote yay if it genuinely made Amanda happy.
Which requires a significant amount of emotional compartmentalization.
Yeah.
But the situation is deeply complicated by other off-screen variables that will inevitably derail the shooting schedule.
Oh, the Ciara rumors.
Yeah. Insiders are doubling down on the claim that West also hooked up with Ciara Miller at the end of season 10.
And Amanda and Ciara are incredibly close. That alone would throw the cast into a complete mess.
Oh, absolutely.
To add to the chaos, West was recently spotted in Chicago holding hands with a brunette. And sources say he was doing this specifically to signal he was taken, just to purposefully keep other women away from him at the bars.
Which creates a structural nightmare for production. When cast members engage in highly complex, interconnected romantic entanglements off camera, the producers are left scrambling.
They have to back-explain everything.
Exactly. They have to find a way to weave a coherent narrative for the audience once cameras roll again. They end up having to explain months of off-screen betrayals just to make a simple dinner party scene make sense.
Well, if off-season romance changes the script, off-season legal battles completely rewrite the rulebook. We need to talk about Southern Hospitality and Grace Lilly.
Yes, moving from hidden hookups to very public, very serious legal issues.
Grace was recently arrested for the second time.
And the specific details of this arrest demand serious attention. During a previous traffic stop, police found 12 white pills in her puss.
Yeah.
And when questioned, she casually referred to them as happy pills.
Calling a controlled substance happy pills to a police officer is certainly a choice.
It really is. The infantilization of the language points to a profound disconnect from the gravity of the situation.
Definitely.
Recent lab results confirm that those pills were clonazepam, commonly known as Klonopin. It is a powerful controlled substance with a high risk for dependency, and she possessed it without a prescription.
Which directly led to her latest arrest. And the network has openly confirmed that her journey with substance abuse will officially serve as her storyline in season 4.
Which brings up a lot of structural questions.
It does. I have to push back on the structure of this from a viewer's perspective. When a cast member's real-life legal troubles, like arrests for controlled substances, become the actual storyline, does it break the fourth wall, or is that the only way reality TV survives now?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's like watching a play where the actors' real-life legal bills are written directly into the script.
It points directly to a shift in consumer demand. Reality television initially thrived on manufactured scenarios, orchestrated dinner parties and forced group vacations.
Right, the classic formula.
But audiences have become highly sophisticated. They can spot producer manipulation instantly. Consequently, the only way to retain viewership is to offer raw, unfiltered authenticity.
Even when it's dark.
Especially when it's dark. However, when legal issues and substance dependency are monetized as a character arc, it creates a dangerous paradox. The show relies on dramatic conflict and eventual resolution for good television, but clinical addiction and the legal system are rarely that linear.
And while Grace's legal issues are mostly self-contained, what happens when off-screen behavior crosses dangerous boundaries and involves other people's families?
The Love Island situation.
Yes, the situation with Love Island USA's Huda Mustafa is deeply troubling.
It represents a severe escalation. We are moving from self-destructive antics into genuine, documented, real-world danger involving bystanders.
Huda was recently hit with a temporary restraining order from Nicole Oliveira, who is the mother of her boyfriend Louis Russell's young son.
And to be clear, temporary restraining orders are not handed out lightly.
No, they require a judge to see evidence of an imminent threat. The allegations here are incredibly dark. Huda allegedly threatened to harm Nicole's son.
Which is just awful.
It gets worse. She also allegedly threatened to take her own life, swearing on her own daughter's life while doing so, and attempted to break into Nicole's Los Angeles apartment. The LAPD had to be called out to handle it.
The psychological weight of those allegations cannot be overstated. We are looking at legal documents alleging threats of self-harm, child endangerment, and breaking and entering.
Yeah, it's serious legal trouble.
The court system took the evidence seriously enough to mandate a strict legal boundary, ordering Huda to stay 100 yards away from Nicole, her child, and their home.
But this is the bizarre contrast that absolutely blows my mind. Despite the active restraining order and police involvement, Huda and Louis are currently projecting this united, happy front on social media.
The gym selfies.
Yes. They are actively posting smiling gym selfies together as if absolutely nothing is wrong. How do people maintain a picture-perfect Instagram aesthetic while active police investigations are happening in the background?
It's really hard to comprehend.
It's like repainting the front door of your house while the kitchen is actively on fire.
That visual perfectly captures the phenomenon. What you are describing requires profound psychological compartmentalization.
Clearly.
For individuals whose entire livelihood, brand deals, and self-worth are intrinsically tied to algorithmic engagement, the curated digital image becomes their primary reality.
So the crisis is just ignored.
Basically, the actual crisis, the police presence, the legal boundaries, the endangered children, is processed merely as an inconvenient distraction from the couple goals brand they are actively trying to monetize. They prioritize external digital validation over the safety and well-being of everyone involved.
It is genuinely chilling to see it play out in real time, but as dark as the Love Island situation is, it still only involves a few individuals.
Right.
What happens when that level of severity threatens not just a cast, but the foundation of two massive television franchises? The ongoing collapse surrounding The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives and ABC's The Bachelorette is the ultimate system failure.
We are witnessing an unprecedented intersection. It is the collision of severe domestic turmoil with high-stakes, multi-million-dollar corporate television production.
Let's set the scene with Harry Jowsey, because his unaired perspective gives us a window into just how dysfunctional things were before the cameras even stopped rolling.
You really painted a picture.
He did. Harry confirmed that Secret Lives of Mormon Wives is officially on pause because, as he put it, stuff hit the fan.
He described walking into an environment of overwhelming, unmanageable chaos at the house in Los Angeles.
Overwhelming chaos is an understatement. He walked in and there were Stanley cups scattered everywhere, a baby was present in the room, and the entire cast was completely sober but screaming at the top of their lungs.
Which is a massive shift from early reality TV.
Right. Usually alcohol is required to fuel the drama. Here, their baseline is just pure chaos. And Layla Taylor and her boyfriend literally disappeared in the middle of this massive fight just to go have sex.
Which is wild.
It's completely wild. Harry felt so awkward he actually tried to start an egg race around the pool just to break the tension.
Egg race.
An egg race. But the moment Dakota Mortensen walked in, the fighting between him and Taylor Frankie Paul immediately resumed.
And that screaming match around the fire pit was just the prelude to the severe allegations that forced Hulu to halt production entirely.
Yeah, the legal side of this is huge.
Networks utilize strict duty of care clauses in their contracts. A show is not paused for a minor disagreement. It is paused because the liability threshold has been breached. Taylor and Dakota are currently under active police investigation.
Let's break down exactly what those investigations entail, because it is incredibly heavy. Over a dispute involving their castmate Shania Powell, Taylor allegedly became physically violent. According to reports, she is accused of grabbing Dakota by the throat, ripping his necklace off, and scratching his neck. And the most heartbreaking detail: their 2-year-old son, Ever, was reportedly in the room while this physical altercation happened.
The presence of a child fundamentally shifts the narrative from a toxic relationship to potential child endangerment.
Absolutely.
Dakota called the police, but Taylor allegedly convinced him to backtrack and apologize to the officers. The cycle of domestic turmoil, however, rarely stops after a single retraction.
It certainly didn't stop here. The violence allegedly resumed the very next night, resulting in a friend seeing the injuries and calling the cops themselves.
And because a child was present.
Exactly. Because a child was present, the Utah Division of Child and Family Services is now actively investigating child abuse claims, and they have legally ordered both Taylor and Dakota to undergo psychological evaluations.
Wow.
The rest of the Mom Talk cast is entirely overwhelmed, stating they have banded together and are flatly refusing to film any further scenes with Taylor.
So you have a complete cast mutiny, multiple active police investigations, and a state child protective services agency involved.
It's a complete mess.
But the ripple effect doesn't stop at Hulu. Because of casting decisions made months prior, this crisis crashes directly into ABC's flagship romance franchise.
Yes, Taylor is the upcoming Bachelorette. And the timeline here is mind-boggling. Reports indicate she allegedly slept with Dakota the night before she left to film her season of The Bachelorette.
Which compromises the foundational premise of the entire show before she even steps out of the limo to meet the contestants.
Right. And the spoilers are already out. She reportedly picked Doug Mason and got engaged right before the holidays.
But it didn't last long.
No. Just a month later, Doug flew to Salt Lake City to film their breakup, reportedly because she simply was not over Dakota.
And we circle back to our central theme from earlier: hard data exposing the truth.
The call log. Someone leaked a verified screenshot showing that just a month after Bachelorette filming wrapped, Taylor called Dakota over 150 times in a 90-minute span.
That's intense.
Let's do the math on that. That is roughly 1.6 calls every single minute for an hour and a half.
The mechanics of dialing a phone 150 times in 90 minutes indicates a deeply toxic, obsessive attachment.
For sure.
It renders an individual completely unfit to lead a television show built on the premise of finding a stable, emotionally mature, long-term partnership.
And the corporate fallout is happening as we speak. A major sponsor, Cinnabon, pulled out of both shows, stating it no longer aligns with their brand values.
Which is a huge financial hit.
Network executives are reportedly holding emergency crisis talks about axing the entire season of The Bachelorette to avoid a brand disaster. Yet, despite the sponsor flight, the ongoing police investigations, and the Child Protective Services mandates, she is currently doing press in New York, and the show is still scheduled to premiere.
It is an astonishing display of corporate cognitive dissonance.
I have to ask, why would a major legacy network risk their flagship franchise on someone with an active, documented history of severe domestic turmoil? It's like building a luxury resort on top of a fault line and just crossing your fingers that an earthquake doesn't hit during the grand opening.
The corporate logic operating behind the scenes relies heavily on the sunk cost fallacy. ABC has already spent millions of dollars renting mansions, coordinating international travel, and paying production crews.
So they just can't walk away.
Historically, networks viewed controversy as a catalyst for viewership. Bad press was still press. But they have miscalculated the severity of the allegations in the modern era.
Yeah, this isn't just a Twitter feud.
Exactly. Domestic violence and child endangerment are not just drama to be edited into a clever promo. They are massive corporate liabilities. By pushing forward and keeping the premiere date, the network is sending a clear signal that their duty of care to the cast and audience is secondary to protecting their return on investment.
So what does this all mean for us, the people tuning in? This deep dive has taken us on quite a journey today.
It really has.
We started with the relatively harmless faking of social media followers and someone blaming their luggage for being a few hours late in Italy. But as we stripped away the facades, we ended up navigating real-life foreclosures, arrests for controlled substances, restraining orders involving threats to children, and franchise-halting domestic investigations.
The line between harmless entertainment and real-world consequence no longer exists.
It has been completely erased. The reality we are consuming as evening entertainment is having devastating permanent impacts on the actual lives of the participants and their families.
Which really makes you rethink how you watch these shows.
It does. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to ponder. If we, the audience, know that the drama we are consuming has real-life victims like a 2-year-old sitting in the room during a physical altercation or families losing their homes to foreclosure, at what point does our viewership transition from innocent entertainment into active complicity in their crises? Are we just watching the kitchen burn, or are we the ones supplying the oxygen? Think about it. We will catch you on the next deep dive.